Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. Today we have some news out of the Commonwealth of Virginia in its first congressional district, where Democrat Shannon Taylor officially launches a bid to represent the first district. So this article from the Virginia Mercury and written by Samantha Willis from September 8th goes over this information, that in Henrico County Commonwealth Attorney Shannon Taylor launched her bid for Congress on Monday morning, less than 3 months after losing the Democratic nomination for Virginia Attorney General to Jay Jones. Taylor now joins 9 other Democratic candidates, hoping to take on longtime Republican incumbent U.S. Representative Rob Wittman for the chance to represent Virginia's first congressional district starting in 2026. With a track record as a hardline prosecutor, Taylor was first elected to serve as Henrico Commonwealth's attorney in 2011 and has spent 3 terms in that role. She has run for statewide office twice now, both times in the Democratic primary for Attorney General. In 2021, facing Jones and Mark Herring, she withdrew from the race, and she chose not to run in order to focus on the critical issues happening in Henrico, from criminal justice reform to addressing long-standing systemic racism in our society. Herring won the nomination, but lost the seat to Jason Miyares, the Republican who is now running for re-election in the race in 2025. Taylor's loss to Jones in this year's Attorney General Democratic primary was also a very close one, with Jones narrowly defeating Taylor 51.5% to 48.8%, so really as close as you can get. Taylor has set her sights now on defeating the Republican Wittman, who has represented the 1st District since 2012, which spans parts of Henrico, Hanover, and Chesterfield counties in central Virginia to the northern neck and middle peninsula of the area. There are over 471,000 registered voters in the district, according to the Virginia Public Access Project. So, Taylor entering this race also comes as a little bit of news, as there was a new Democratic internal poll that was conducted in this race. Now, obviously, take these numbers I'm about to tell you with a grain of salt, because the poll was conducted by the Democratic pollster Public Policy Polling, which is the official House Majority PAC poll of the Democrats. So this is probably the best the Democrats are ever going to look are going to come from this poll. And it shows Rob Wittman at 41%, Shannon Taylor at 40%, with 19% still undecided. Now, this is very significant. First, though, on the Democratic side, lots of Democrats are running in this race. Rob Wittman's the only Republican running. He's the U.S. representative. He'll be the Republican nominee. Democrats, Salim Bati, Lisa Verdeganova-Kana's running, Andrew Lucetti, Amanda Pohl, Shannon Taylor, James Shea, Sean Sublette, and Melvin Tull are all running, as well as Erica Kopp filing paperwork as well. But it's very quickly become apparent that Shannon Taylor is the leading Democratic candidate in this race. Just looking at her endorsement list, she already has the endorsement of U.S. Senator Tim Kaine, U.S. Representatives Don Bayer, Suhas Subramanian from the 7th District, or from the 10th District, and Eugene Vindman from the 7th District. She has the endorsement of Mark Herring, the former Attorney General of Virginia, who narrowly lost in 2021, Terry McAuliffe, the former governor, Ralph Northam, the former governor, and Mary Sue Terry, former Attorney General of Virginia, as well as several state legislatures as well. So based on the endorsement list thus far, Shannon Taylor has the lead on this Democratic side. And given that it is many candidates running in this race, likely the vote's going to be split up among them by a significant amount, which could lead to Shannon Taylor opening up with a very large lead, as she is most likely the most high-profile candidate running in this race. Now on to the poll, where it's only a 1-point race between Wittman and Taylor with 19% undecided. This is interesting because, for one, it is a Democratic poll, and the rule of thumb I use for Democratic or Republican internal polls, it's not always 100% accurate this way, but I usually built in about 5 points towards the party that the poll represents. Meaning, if Taylor here is only down by 1 point, I'm assuming that in the actuality, Wittman's probably leading by about 6 points or so, because it is an internal poll, and internal polling usually makes the, obviously, candidate they're representing look a lot better. But this internal poll, with a 1-point lead for Wittman over Taylor, at very least shows there is some potential for this race to maybe be competitive. Now, Cook Political Report, Inside Elections, and Sabla Crystal Ball all have this race listed as likely for the Republicans. So they don't believe this race is starting out in the really competitive category either. And when you look at the election history of this district, it makes a lot of sense. The 1st District, though, is listed at Republican +3, according to the Cook Political Voting Index from 2025, whereas Republican +6 in 2023. So this district has moved about 3 points towards the Democratic direction since the last two Cook PVIs. So that is very significant. Now, the election history has said a different story, though, where Whitman won in 2024 by 12.8% against the Democratic candidate. Back in 2022, he won by 13 points against the Democratic candidate. In 2020, this district was obviously drawn a lot differently, but he won by 16.4%. So Whitman, for some reason, this district that's only Republican plus 3, is seeming to win by double digits in the two most consecutive elections. Now, can 2026 be different is the question the Democrats are asking. Just refreshing here, the updated numbers from the 2026 generic congressional vote currently have the Democrats leading by 3.3%. Now, based on the 2024 results, though, seeing as Whitman won this race by 12.8%, just in a vacuum, if you shifted this race 3.3% towards the Democrats, Whitman would still have won this race by around 9.5% or so. So even then, this would still be a likely Republican win if it just shifted based on the generic ballot to that number. So Whitman's performance in 2024 is what the Democrats are hoping to capture here. Now, just for a moment, I'm going to go down the scenario of what if this race becomes competitive, what could it look like? Well, for one, it would have to involve Shannon Taylor being a strong enough Democratic candidate to break the trend in recent history of Rob Whitman winning by 10 points. And for Shannon Taylor to do that, she would have to look at the results of essentially what Whitman's been able to do in the last few elections and essentially break all the trends of this district. Even though the district, according to the Cook PVI, has gotten more blue, Whitman's performance has remained very consistent. So Taylor would essentially have to reinvent the map in a way that has not been done at the congressional level in a pretty long time in this first congressional district. Though even though it is the Democratic House poll, public policy polling, this 1 point lead for Whitman over Taylor at very least will put some eyes and potentially some fundraising on this race for the Democrats. Now, the Democrats obviously are in for a very tough fight with the Republicans for the House in 2026. Republicans in the updated rankings of 212 seats, Democrats have 202. This district for Virginia won, but Rob Whitman is currently listed as likely for the Republicans. And I do think it is likely for the GOP. That even in the Democrats' best case scenario, I think Republicans probably hold on and win this race. If for some reason the Republicans and Rob Whitman are losing this race, come November of 2026, they're likely getting absolutely blown out across the 2026 House map, and the Democrats may be reaching like a massive number of House seats. So with that said, I think Rob Whitman's probably going to win in 2026, but it is listed as likely for the Republicans. Looking more in depth at this result in this district, Rob Whitman won in 2024 with 56.4% to the Democrat Leslie Meadows' 43.6%. The overall votes of the 478,000 or so votes cast was Rob Whitman with 269,657, Leslie Meadows 208,445. And when you look at the population of the counties in this district, Chesterfield is the largest in this district with 106,773 votes for the total district overall. Henrico Meta won 102,198 votes total, Democrat plus 9. Hanover was Whitman plus 32, James City plus 4, York plus 16, Gloucester plus 46, 38-45. So if playing the scenario of what can the Democrat Taylor do to try and win this district, first things first is I would attack the areas that are the most competitive in this district, that obviously the Democrat did not win. For one, for Taylor to win, she's going to have to boost the numbers of Henrico. Now, it is the second largest county in this district, right outside of Richmond. That is good for Shannon Taylor, but she's going to need to win by more than 9 points to have a realistic chance at winning this district. That's pretty much a given. But then the two close counties of Chesterfield, the largest county in this district, and James City, the fourth largest in the district, these have to be Democratic wins in this race in 2026 for Shannon Taylor to even have a chance at winning. Now, Whitman netted about 4,000 votes out of Chesterfield in this race in 2024. James City was about 4-point win, about 2,000 votes for Whitman in this area in 2024. So these are two key areas that Shannon Taylor needs to be targeting in a 2026 race. Now, it's totally possible that Shannon Taylor can win Chesterfield, win Henrico, and win James City and still lose this district. That's how Republican the rest of the district is. When you see areas that are not as big in population, but Richmond going 42 points, Kings and Queens 34, you see Matthews 48, I believe it's Pauquoson 55, Gloucester 46. these areas that are very red are going to be tough for Shannon Taylor to make a lot of inroads in. But if she can soften the margins a little bit while winning these close districts like Chesterfield and James City, and maybe cutting into the margins in York and areas like Essex, maybe it's possible to get this race competitive. But when you start going county by county in this race, you see why it's more of a likely Republican district than a toss-up one, because there's a lot of smaller rural counties in this district that are a lot more red than the competitive areas that also narrowly in 2024, most of them voted red. So that's where things stand on the district for 2024. In 2022, things were not really that different. Here, Rob Whitman won 56%, Herb Jones, a Democrat, got 43%, and again, the counties were pretty similar. Though, in this one, Whitman won Chesterfield by +6, Henrico went for Jones, a Democrat, by 8, and James City was Republican +3. So relatively similar numbers to what it was in 2024. So for Shannon Taylor to win this race, she's going to have to do something that's not been done in a pretty long time in this district, win Chesterfield County, win James City, and try and make inroads in places like York County, Essex County, and really try and soften the red margins in this district. Just based on the 24 results, she needs about 60,000 votes net to win this race. On the 2022 numbers, the midterm election, here it's a little bit more manageable. She needs about 44,000 votes based on the 2022 turnout numbers. Is it doable? Yes. Is it unlikely? Probably. But this is going to be an interesting race to watch for, as this is not a race that's expected to be one of the more super competitive ones. So if it becomes competitive in 2026, that could be a good sign for Democrats, but it's also an interesting one to watch for, as Virginia starts out the election very early on. I do believe its polls close at 7 p.m. Eastern time, obviously on the East Coast. So depending on how this race is going, if this is very close, that could be a big indicator of how the rest of the country is voting on election night 2026. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you did. Leave a comment below, tell me your thoughts and other video ideas you would like to see me go over. Thank you so much for watching, and hope to see you in a future video.